The next topic that we are going to discuss is IBO statements, that is input output statements in Python. First, let us see about the input statements in Python. The input statement we are going to use is the input function. So far, we are just assigning values to the variables using the assignment operator. Here, we are going to use the input function to get input from the user through the standard input device, the keyboard. The syntax for the input function is input, and within the parenthesis we are going to use the prompt. Prompt is a string representing a message before the input occurs. Here is an example. Let me assign a value to the variable num by getting the input from the user. So here input function is used. Input, and within the parenthesis we are going to give the prompt string. Enter a number. So what happens when we give a statement like this? The interpreter asks us with the prompt string, enter a number. When we input a number, here I am giving 42. What will be the output? It will be a string. Even though we give an integer input, it will be converted as a string. So what happens now? First, when we give an input function, the prompt will be printed on the screen. So the program execution will be stopped until the user gives an input. Upon giving the input, the program execution resumes. The input function converts the typed content into a string. So what we have to do to convert it into an integer? Obviously, the choice is typecasting. If an integer value is given as an input, still input function converts it into a string. So we have to explicitly convert it into a integer using typecasting. So we can convert the input string into int using the int function. We can convert the string into a float using the float function, or even we can convert it into a complex number using complex function. So as we see already, this statement takes this 42 as a string. Now we are going to explicitly typecast the retrieved input into an integer, and then we are going to assign it to this num. So when we check the type of this num, now since it is typecasted, the num is of type int and not string. Next is the output statement. Print function is used to output the data to the standard output device, that is the screen. This is the syntax for the print statement. Mostly we will be using this objects alone. We can explicitly say the separator, we can explicitly say the end, explicitly say the file, and also the flush. The default separator is a space, and the default end is new line character, and the default file is the standard output, that is the monitor screen. So here the print statement takes the first argument as objects. So since we are saying it is objects, we can have some number of objects. Each object should be separated by comma. Here is an example for the print statement which takes two arguments, say a string and again a string. How do we say that there are two strings here? This string is enclosed, hello is enclosed within double quotes. So this is one string, and we are using a comma to separate that it is a different object. Next, again a string enclosed within the double quotes, that is how are you. Now As we said, the output separator is the space. So when the output is displayed, we have the first object hello here, next a space, next the second object. Here is an example where we use both string and an integer. A is assigned a value 40. 40 is an integer data type. So A is of type int. Now we are just saying print a string object, my name, my age is. Next, an integer object which is 4, A, that is it takes the value 40. So what gets printed? The string gets printed as such. Since A is a variable, the value of the variable is substituted here. So the output will be my age is 40. Next is output formatting. We can explicitly format with string.format method. So what happens? We have to say the placeholders by representing them with the curly braces, open curly brace and the closed curly brace. Also, we have to provide the information to be formatted. How does the concatenation takes place? With the help of positional formatting. Let us see an example to understand this concept. Value 10 is assigned to a variable x. Value 12 is assigned to a variable y. Next, the sum of x and y is assigned to the variable z. In the output statement, that is the print function, we are going to use the format function. So the sum of these placeholders is enclosed within a string. Next, dot the format function. So the string is the sum of the placeholder and another placeholder is another placeholder. So this is the string. Next, dot format function. So what happens now? In this placeholder, the first argument is placed. In the next placeholder, the next argument is placed. In the next placeholder, the next argument is placed. So this is how the positional formatting executes. So the output will be the sum of in the first position we have x, so 10. The value of x is 10. In the second position we have y, so the value of y is 12. Next, in the third position we have the variable z, so the value is the sum of x and y, so it is 22. So we can also explicitly say the position of the variables, the arguments of the format function here. So 0 means the first position, 1 the next position, 2 the next position, and it goes on like this. So what happens? The sum of the first, that is in the 1th place, it is x, so it is 10, and the 0th place, that is y, which is 12, yes, in the second place, that is z, so it is 22. So this is also applicable while formatting using the format function. The other way to do formatting, output formatting in Python, is using the format operator, which is the percentage symbol. When used with integers, the percentage is the modulus operator. While used with strings, this symbol is used for formatting operator. This format symbol could be placed anywhere in the string. We use %d to format an integer, %g to format a floating point number, %s to format a string. In this example, we are using an integer variable, say age. In this string, we are using the format operator %d. It means that an integer is going to get placed over here. So after the string, we are going to give the format information, that is percentage, the variable name age. So what happens? in the place percentage D, this age, the value of this age gets replaced. So the output will be I am 42 years old. If there are more than one format sequence in the string, the second argument has to be a tuple. In the previous example, we saw only one placeholder, that is one format operator. In this example, we are going to see more than one format operator. Each format sequence is matched with the element in the tuple in the appropriate order it is placed. So here, in this example, we are using three format sequence. One is %G, which holds a floating point value, %D, an integer value, and %S, which is a string. So in the format information, we are going to give a tuple. So we will discuss about tuples later. So it is nothing, a sequence of values. So the first value should be a floating point, the second should be an integer, and the third one is a string. So the output we get is, in 4.5 years I have spotted 42 camels. So this is how the output formatting works. So there are some rules while we are using this formatting strings. So the number of elements in the tuple has to match the number of format sequences in the string. In this example, we are given only two format information, but here we are having three format sequence. So this will match with this and this will match with this. But for this format sequence, we do not have an element in the tuple. So this is an error. Also, the types of the elements have to match the format sequences. Here, in this example, we have given a format sequence as an integer, that is %D, whereas the format information takes a string. So the type mismatch error. So this is also an error. Here a number is required, whereas we are giving a string. So this is again an error. This is about the input-output statements and output formatting in Python. Next, let us see a simple example using the input and the output statements in Python. Let us try calculating the simple interest using the formula P into N into R by 100. So to calculate the simple interest, we are in need of three inputs, say the principal amount, number of years, and the rate of interest. I am assigning an integer value to P, again an integer value to N, and a float value to R. Next, I am evaluating this expression P into N into R by 100 and storing it in a variable, say SI. I am using two types of print statement. First is simply with the object list, that is, this is a string object and this is a variable SI. And in the print statement, I am using the string with the format function. So what happens in the position with this curly brace, the element here will get replaced. Since this is the second positional parameter, this is what is in the second position, so this get replaced. And this is in the first position, so N gets replaced. And this is the third position, so SI gets replaced. So this is using the format function. So this is what is the output. So first it prompts with enter principal amount. If my input is 2000, next it will prompt enter number of years. My input is 2. Next it prompts enter rate of interest. My input is 4.75. Next, this expression is calculated, that is 2000 into 2 into 4.75 divided by 100 is calculated and the value is assigned to SI. This print statement gives this output. The simple interest is the calculated value 190.0. This print statement gives this result. The simple interest for 2000 rupees at R, the rate of interest, that is 4.75 ROI for N, that is 2 years, is the calculated value 190.0. So this is how we get input from the users, evaluate some expressions, that is process the input. Next we generate some output. This is followed for many of the simple calculations like this.